West Central, Margot, Durant, Calendar.
We fed up, we fix education in a mess. You hear that? We done with them. Enough of them. More push up, face men. More workers go home again. You see me now? We done with them. Enough of them. Cause these small man getting squeezed. Because of them vendors got to leave. Because of them tourists getting squeezed.
Good night, Silver Sands. Good night to my people, my family, my friends, my very large family up here. I am here for one reason. We know that from Inchmarlow down to Kendall Hill, everyone is feeling hopeless. And we know you feel right now as though there is no tomorrow. All of us are feeling that pain. We are all feeling that pain that has been brought on by the Democratic Labour Party. But my reason here tonight is to throw my full weight behind Wilfred Abrams. All the suffering that you have felt for the last 5 years. All of the hopelessness brought on by a government that promised much but delivered very, very little. I want you all to know that there is a brighter day ahead. I want you all to know that the Barbados Labour Party is ready, willing, and able to bring you out of that pit of disaster that this Democratic Labour Party government has put us in. And that is why I support Wilfred Abrams. I know we came up against one another for the nomination for this constituency because this is where I live. But the better man won. Wilfred Abrams. In him you will find a dedicated, hard-working person who will be there for you. I have been called to serve elsewhere. And I intend to serve my constituency of Christchurch West Central with every fiber of my being. I intend to help them through the morass that the Democratic Labour Party has put this country into. But you have Wilfred. In Wilfred, you will find someone who will be there for you every step of the way. Wilfred will do everything he has to for you. I am where I am supposed to be. I am there and I intend to stay in Christchurch West Central. That is now my home. So I'm asking you, my friends, my very large family in these areas, to go with Wilfred. I am asking you to put your trust in him. I am asking you to give him that opportunity to do for you what the Democratic Labour Party has not done within the last 5 years. So go out there in your numbers and vote for Wilfred. Go out there and vote for all 5 candidates in Christchurch. Jerome in Christchurch South. That is just next door. And those of you from Christchurch West, you have Maria Agard. In Christchurch West East Central, sir, you have Desmond Sands. And of course, my people in Christchurch West Central, you know what to do. But I'm asking you in these areas to give Wilfred your vote. He is strong, he is dedicated, he is hardworking, and he will do everything possible for you. So vote Barbados Labour Party. Vote Wilfred Abrams. Vote for your future. Vote for your children's future. Vote for a better tomorrow. Vote for the Barbados Labour Party. I thank you. Have a good night.
We fed up, we fixed education in a mess. You hear that? We done the day one. Enough of them. More push up, face bend. More workers go home again. You see me now? We done the day enough of them. Cause these small man getting squeezed. Because of them. Vendors got to leave. Because of them. Tourists getting scared. Because of them. Knock bills in the rear. Because of them. Everybody crying out for new government. True. Because we done it.
Barbados Labour Party family, how are we feeling? You feeling good? Anybody feeling sick out there? I hear some boys say they're feeling sick down in this corner. Well, if you're feeling sick, the next speaker I have for you can apply a remedy. The next speaker comes from across the border from Christchurch East. If you are feeling sick, the next speaker is a doctor, a real doctor. I give to you Dr. Jerome Walcott.
We bringing it home with Jerome Walcott. We bringing it home with Jerome Walcott. We bringing it home with Jerome. We bringing it home. We bringing it home. We bringing it home.
Good evening to you, the wonderful folk of Silver Sands and the surrounding areas. A wonderful sight this evening. But first of all, I am here to endorse the candidacy of Wilfred Abrams to be your next representative. And I'm certain that next Thursday you will ensure that this becomes a reality. I am here to endorse Wilfred because I know that he does not have a fictitious PhD. I can endorse Wilfred because I know that he has never been taken to court for not paying his house rent. I can endorse Wilfred because I know that no garage has ever sent anyone to possess his vehicle for non-payment. And I can endorse Wilfred because I know he has never been taken to court for maintenance. And I say this against a background of a Democratic Labour Party that came to you last elections and spoke about pathways to progress and reducing the cost of living and bringing to you persons who were caring, committed, and clean. This is what they said. And that they were going to bring good governance and transparency to the affairs of this country. And in every one of those areas, this government has been a total failure. They were unable to reduce the cost of living. Dismal failure. They told you about good governance and transparency. And I will speak about that tonight in the context of your current representative. And of course, they told you about clean, caring, competent individuals. And you will have to decide and judge if your current representative, Mr. Lowe, fits those criteria. Failure in all three. And you know what? They launched a manifesto last evening, if that is what you can call it. And the title of the manifesto is Continuing Pathways to Progress. They came 5 years ago and promised you pathways to progress. Complete failure. And they come to you as though you are illiterate, as though you are fools, and are now asking you to vote for them continuing pathways to progress. But I'm sure that you will deal with that. But tonight my time is limited. And I've come to deal with Minister Lowe because in my mind, he exemplifies all of the qualities, the good qualities, the good traits that David Thompson promised you. The cleanliness, being clean, the transparency, and the good governance. You can say he's a liar. I have never had a conversation with him. Neither do I want to have one, so I wouldn't know. What I do know is that he has a very responsibility for a very important ministry in this country. He has responsibility for solid waste management. He has responsibility for sanitation. He has responsibility for the environment. All of these important areas. And under his stewardship, no one in Barbados is certain as to what is happening in terms of solid waste management, in terms of Sanitation Services Authority, and certainly in terms of the environment. In the Sanitation Services Authority, there is total confusion. 5 years, not a single new truck. Persons are never certain when their garbage will or will not be collected. And you have a minister who could find time to attend sanitation board meetings and to even chair those meetings, as Kerry spoke about earlier, and to make and to encourage board members to make decisions contrary to their best feelings and what they consider to be transparent processes. That is what he is busy doing. So that as an example of good governance, you could have a Sanitation Services Authority, which is supposed, I'm going to use that language, supposed to be deducting every month and weekly from its employees deductions for the national insurance and pay as you earn. And at the end, the Sanitation Services Authority, under Mr. Lowe's management or mismanagement, could be allowed to owe the NIS between September 2011 and January 2013 some $6 million. $6 million owed by the Sanitation Services Authority to the NIS between September 2011 and January this year. PAYE between September 2011 to January 2013. And this is deducted from the salaries of the staff. $2.5 million. Sanitation owing $8.5 million in total. $6 million to NIS and $2.5 million to Inland Revenue. And you know what is the subvention to the sanitation every year under this government? $14 million. This is why your garbage collection is in a mess. $14 million in subvention. And they owe $8.5 million to NIS and Inland Revenue. And the minister is strutting around. And at the time when millions of dollars are owed to the NIS, you could have the nonsense of a new cell being opened at Mangrove and the minister there in a two-piece suit in a new landfill entertaining all of the ministers and serving them shrimp and lobster and owing NIS $6 million. You understand the sort of buffoon you're dealing with? Not a clue. But I go further. In those circumstances, the minister now is in the process of approving the lease of a piece of equipment for the Sanitation Services Authority at a cost of $23,816 per month for 5 years. $23,816,000 per month for 5 years. And hear this. The maintenance cost is to be done by the sanitation. And this is not a garbage truck, or indeed any fleet of garbage trucks. When at the time all of you were concerned about the issues related to the collection of your garbage. A total mess. And you have a minister parading as though he does not know what is happening and does not care either, but can give a report in rises of his stewardship and can tell you how many debushing teams he has hired and that he has increased the number of lifeguards. What about your collection of garbage and the consequences that can occur to an entire society in terms of garbage collection? He also has responsibility for solid waste management. And Barbados must be the only place in the world, unless you can bear me out on this because you've had experience in these environmental matters, where there is a proposal at a landfill site by a minister to have landfill gas to energy, to have incineration, to have solar energy, to have wind turbines. The only thing he does not propose for mangrove is wave energy. And I am sure if a technocrat had written that in the speech, that the minister law would tell you, Barbadians, that they were going to have wave energy at mangrove. That is the sort of level in terms of the management and governance of solid waste in this country that we have sunk to in 2013 under a government that promised you pathways to progress. He has responsibility for the environment. He spoke about botanical gardens, and not a single tree has been planted in 5 years. And a minister talking about a botanical garden. And this imbecile struts up and down in this constituency, thumping his chest and telling you how great he is and what a wonderful job he has done. Do you really believe that this individual should be getting your vote after 5 years? When you reflect on what was promised and what has not been delivered, do you think that he should even consider coming to you? I don't think so. I really don't think so. And that is why I said that I have no doubt that next week, when you, the spirit folk of Silver Sands, go to the polls, you will ensure that Mr. Lowe becomes a relic of Barbadian political history. Across the line, there is another pretender, one John Boyce, who has certain proclivities. One, unfortunately, is that I've been trying to get him to give a donation to the Save Foundation for battered women, for battered spouses, but he still seems reluctant. But this individual, also, I'm still dealing with good governance, is so obsessed with the transport board and the management of the transport board that he's even now being called the Minister of Transtech. Transtech, to which buses are sent for repairs and maintenance. I don't know why he would be called the Minister of Transtech. I've been told, however, that every Friday he is at Transtech. And I can only assume that he's there to inspect the work that is being done and not for any other reason. But they criticized us severely in terms of the plans for the highway, in terms of the flyovers. And 5 years later, at a cost of over $150 million, all you have to show is 3 roundabouts and the widening of the exit at some of these roundabouts. 5 years later, over $150 million, and now a pedestrian walkover at a cost of almost $3 million. And you have not seen 10 persons traverse the walkover as yet. Not 10 people. And the minister rushed to open it last week. Not 10 people in a week. And they tell you about good governance and transparency. But we could go on and on and on. But my message is a simple one this evening. We have seen what the DLP promised you in terms of the pathways to progress. You can hear what they're promising you now. More of the same. Their words, not mine. Continuing pathways to progress. But I'm telling you that we in the BLP have a vision for a better way, for a better tomorrow for Barbadians. I know in the last days of this campaign, we will be speaking from time to time from our manifesto and our proposals. And earlier, Kerry spoke to the matter of cost of living. But we've said over and over the past 5 years, that the energy pricing policy of this government was wrong. We criticized it from 2008 in terms of how they allowed to pass on all of the taxes onto gasoline and diesel. And we felt that this was going to affect not only the householders, but in terms of manufacturing and production in this country. And we have been proven to be correct. And so we promise that immediately upon attaining office, the Barbados Labour Party is committed to the reduction and the eventual removal of the cess which was placed on gasoline and diesel. This, of course, will reduce the prices of fuel, and you immediately will see savings in terms of your cost of living. We also propose, and this one is interesting, because in the last election, the Democratic Labour Party promised you that they were going to reduce VAT on electricity bills. And you have lived to see not a reduction, but an increase in your VAT on electricity bills at the same time that the fuel adjustment rose for the electricity bill. So rather than trying to reduce the cost of electricity to you, it has resulted in increased electricity rates. We in the Barbados Labour Party are committed to reducing the value-added tax on electricity bills immediately. We are also proposing that a mandate will be given to the Barbados National Oil Company Limited to charge the Barbados Light and Power Company fuel oil at production cost or purchase plus a small markup so as to reduce the fuel charge that is added to your electricity bills. And as soon as practical, after being re-elected, we plan to reduce the excise taxes on gasoline and to carry it back to its former levels, all in aid of reducing the hardships and the cost of living which you currently experience. I spoke earlier in terms of the mismanagement of the Sanitation Services Authority and the fact that garbage collection is all over the place. And we give you the assurance that once elected, the Barbados Labour Party will ensure an efficient and modern collection system whereby 80 to 90% of the public will get a twice-weekly collection. And this is not unheard of. We were well on our way to this, but recently it has dissipated. We are also going to look at encouraging recycling by giving incentives to entities who are involved in this process. And will, of course, introduce legislation and enforcement programs for littering and illegal dumping, because we understand the importance of having a clean environment. Ladies and gentlemen, we in the Barbados Labour Party are mindful that there is a lot of work to be done. The 5 years of the Democratic Labour Party has placed our country in a total mess. But we believe that with Owen Arthur on our team, we have the resources necessary and the faith and the commitment and the belief in Barbadian people that we can improve our lot and put Barbados back up there as a shining beacon within the Caribbean. And so I am asking you this evening, I am pleading with you to give Wilfred Abrams that vote. Give Wilfred Abrams your vote, or when you go to the polls next Thursday, to ensure that he will be part of that team to be led by Owen Arthur when the Barbados Labour Party brings hope and a better tomorrow to the people of Barbados and to your children. I thank you and good evening.
We bringing it home with Jerome Walcott. We bringing it home with Jerome Walcott. We bringing it home with Jerome. We bringing it home. We bringing it home. We bringing it home. Representation you want, representation you get with Jerome.
Good evening, good evening, good evening to the wonderful people of Silver Sands. Good evening, comrades, and to the Barbados Labour Party family. It is indeed a pleasure to see so many of you here tonight. My name is Frederick Harleen, and I am a constituent, and I will be speaking from my heart this evening. I am also a colleague of our candidate, the next representative, Wilfred. I'm a colleague and a friend, and I am here to endorse his candidature. But before I go there, the chairman has asked me to take care of a few housekeeping matters. Comrades, after the candidate's speech, we will also have speeches by Liz Thompson, former Minister of Health, and that of Owen Seymour Arthur, who, come February 21st, will be our Prime Minister. Ladies and gentlemen, Wilfred is my friend. And last Sunday, the Prime Minister of this country came to Silver Sands. Not too sure if he was here or within earshot. And he referred to Wilfred as a forced ripe young man. And I was deeply offended, greatly offended, because as a friend and a colleague, Wilfred has shown me that he's an assertive young man, a focused young man, a driven young man. And if those are what the Prime Minister looks at to refer to Wilfred as force ripe, then I am happy that Wilfred is force ripe, and you should be too. He will do for us what Dennis Lowe has failed to do. He will represent this entire constituency with a fervor and vigor that has not been seen for some 5.5 years. Please, comrades, go out early in your numbers come February 21st. Reject Dennis Lowe, reject the assertions of Frendel Stewart, reject the Democratic Labour Party, vote for the Barbados Labour Party, vote for Wilfred Abrams. It is now my greatest pleasure to introduce to you the next representative for this great constituency of Christchurch East, Mr. Wilfred Abrams.
We're ready, yeah, we're ready. Yeah, we ready. We're ready. Yeah, we ready. We're 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 ready. Yeah, we're ready. We're ready. We're ready. We're ready.
I almost wish I was bringing myself on. Good night, good night, good night, Christchurch East. Good night, Silver Sands. Good night, Elim Park South. Good night, St. Christopher. Good night, everybody who can hear me. Something very unfortunate happened in this same spot about a week ago, where I was vilified in the most awful way on this platform by Frondo Stewart and by the other fella. Now, I call him the other fella because I made the pledge to my people, and I made the pledge to other people that I will keep my campaign clean. We've kept it clean from the beginning, and we will have it clean all the way through to the end. I will not stoop so low as to respond to the foolishness that they got on with last week. Having said all of that, if for some reason anything I say up here happens to sound to you like if I am insulting or denigrating somebody or being derogatory, it is because I happen to be telling the truth about a very nasty person or a very nasty situation. But rest assured that anything coming out of my mouth on top of this platform is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Now, I find the other fella a very interesting character, because every single time he opens his mouth, he says something that is A, newsworthy, but B, newsworthy because it is so profoundly foolish. I don't know how many of you all read recently in the paper where he said he was eager and he was anticipating the battle ahead. And then the next sentence, the very, very next sentence, he said, there is no battle in Christchurch East. He's going to send up a flare to let everybody know the enemy's in the area, and his foot soldiers will come out and neutralize me. Somebody threatened to kill me on Tuesday this week out here in Silver Sands. There were about 20 people witnessing it. Now, he needs to be careful of the provocative things that he says, because all that is going to happen is he's going to inflame impressionable people to do things that will haunt them for the rest of their life. But that is not how we do it in the BLP. And the other thing that I would like the puppet to know is that you do not send up a flare to advise people that the enemy is in the area. You send up a flare when you are lost or when you are in distress. As most people in this proud fishing community know what a flare is used for. So for any of you these in the audience wearing the red shirts, go back to your fella and tell him, before he comes looking for Abrams, or before he sends people looking for Abrams, he needs to find himself. And when he finds himself, he can do the whole of Christchurch East and Barbados a favor and get lost again. Low is not my enemy. He is a man who has unfortunately found himself in a job that he is unqualified for. He's a man that found himself in a job where he is out of his depth. Frondesture on this platform last week said I was trying to pad my CV by going into politics, and I was a forthright young man. Now, I don't understand. I love you for that, darling. I don't understand how he could be forthright at 40 when David Thompson went into Parliament at 27. And if Frondel has something against young people who are trying to be successful and who are trying to make a name for themselves and who are trying to work hard at their chosen profession, then take note. Because the same animosity he has to me and the same fear and the same jealousy, he will have it to any of you who try to lift yourself up. That is not what we want in the Prime Minister of Barbados. Now, the other profoundly stupid thing that the other fella said was in yesterday's paper. He said out here that he is the king in the East. And no one can run him out of his town. Now, the big difference between me and Dennis Lowe, I am no king. I did not come here to rule you. I came here to serve. So, Your Majesty, when you realize what you have done, and on the 21st of February, I urge you to get back on your jackass and ride out of Dodge. Look, I'm asking for your vote. And for me to ask for your vote, it is necessary for you to know a few things about me. Right? And this is in a nutshell. This is not my throwing my CV at you. My CV is on the net. Y'all can read it. I mean, it is unfortunate that the other fella has no CV to speak of. But I grew up just down the road in Jerome's constituency. I grew up in Enterprise. I went to church at St. Christopher. I was an altar boy from the time I was 7 years old to the time I was 20 at St. Christopher. I come from out here. I'm a lawyer. I've been a lawyer for 16 years. I'm also involved in business. I was the president of the Barbados Bar Association. I was the president of the Caribbean Bar Association. I have done a lot. And I have tried my best at every single thing that I have done. I have tried my best at the things that affected me personally in the same way that I will try my best for the things that affect you, the people in Christchurch East. And I don't care what Frondesture or Dennis Lowe have to say. That is my promise to you. I will try my best for you. So now, all of you know something about me. What do you really know about the other fella? First of all, you really don't know whether he has the PhD. The other thing is, what did Lowe do before politics? Do any of you know? Well, I don't know. Now, the other question is, what is Lowe going to do after politics? Do any of you know? Because I don't know. I can tell you one thing. He needs to address his mind to that real fast because he can be unemployed next Friday. I know what I'm going to be doing next Friday. Next Friday, I take up my job as your representative in Christchurch East. I am really not too worried about the other people that surround Lowe. They can probably get by. I mean, Gaylan could probably go back to whatever she was doing before. I heard that she was actually quite successful as an entrepreneur. Well, I'm not going to touch anybody else. But you know what? I'm sure that all of them will find a way to take care of themselves. The one I'm worried about is Lowe. I hope the camera and the microphone didn't pick that up. Listen, the other difference between me and the fella is that I believe in full representation. I believe in proper representation. I have always represented my clients to the best of my ability in the same way that I plan to represent you. I don't believe in partial representation. I believe as a representative, you need to get in touch with the people in your constituency. You need to get to know them. We can't assume what people want. We have to get in there and ask them a question. That is the only way that you can properly address people's needs, if you know what they are. About 2 weeks ago, I sat down right there in that corner, right under that light, and I spoke to 10 fellas from Silver Sands. And I asked them, what do you want? Most of them said to me, we want a job, a government job. I said, all right, that's all well and good, but what do you really want? Somebody said they wanted a fishing boat. Somebody said they want to be an architect. Another fella said he wants to build a house. He wants to have a house that he can support his mother. Now, the dreams of those young people are not any different from my dreams and your dreams. Why is it that the DLP government cannot recognize the dreams of their people? Why is it that there's a disconnect between the ruling and the ruled? And I only use ruling and rule because I want Lord to hear me, and I want to put it in his own terms. He thinks he's the ruler, and he thinks you're the ruled. Why is it that we have a great difficulty in speaking to our people and understanding them? What has been done in Christchurch East in the last 5 years? What has been done for the fishermen and the fisher folk in Silver Sands? You can't give a fisherman a job cutting grass. That's not what he's meant to do. What has been done to the farmers in this constituency? I grew up out here, and I used to run boat all in Easter and all in summer, and I had rail canes. Every spare piece of ground was planted up. But now, most of the land, the arable land in Christchurch East, has run to bush and grass. Why is it that we cannot think outside the box? Why is it that we cannot encourage our young people to get involved, to take up a parcel of land, to start to farm that land and work for themselves? I intend to help the young people to realize their goals. They call me a dreamer. They called me a dreamer. But Martin Luther King had a dream too. Some of the things that I intend to do and that the BLP intends to do. This manifesto is a most comprehensive document. Whoops, sorry. There you go. It's a most comprehensive document. And it contains our solutions to the problems. Costs have gone through the roof in Barbados. Prices have skyrocketed. Your salaries have not increased since 2008. But on the other hand, the price of everything, the cost of living has gone up by 30%. So effectively, you've received a 23.1 cut in your salary. Diesel and electricity have gone through the roof. A lot of the middle income people are out of jobs. People with degrees can't find jobs. We need people who can think of new solutions to old problems. And better yet, of solutions to new problems. Our manifesto has in plans. We've identified the problems and we've come with solutions. We have said, with respect to CLICO, the government has promised to give the money back to the people. We can't put the money back in your hand. The government doesn't have the money. But let us think of how else we can do it. If we give a tax incentive, a tax concession, then it amounts to the same thing because you get a benefit from it. For people who want to partake in private health care, there's a tax incentive for that. For people who want to send their children to private school, there's a tax incentive for that. We're giving the middle income people back their allowances. We are putting more money in their pockets. We are putting money back in their pockets. Frandus Shore got up in the paper the other day and said the people in Barbados don't need the BLP to put money in their pockets. If they want to put money in their pockets, they can go to a drug dealer. You all read that? You all heard it on the news? That is an irresponsible statement from a prime minister. Owen Arthur would never make a statement like that. Which is why on the 21st of February, we say goodbye to Frandl and we say hello to Owen. For the last couple of years, I have tried to help people who are less fortunate than myself. I believe in it. I did it before I was in politics. I tried to continue it while I was in politics. One of the things that we did, and a lot of people who can hear me would have benefited from this, we, in association with Plantation Garden Theatre, we gave out soup on many Saturdays to people who had nothing to eat. Lo stood up on this platform last Saturday and lambasted me for that. And he talked about, I get them white soup and no dumplings, but obviously, Lo, you had none. And what is hurtful to me, I am in opposition and I am trying to help the people. He is in government and he's trying to cry me down for helping the people. Now the question is, Lo, what have you done in the last 5 years to try to help feed people in your constituency? You know what? If it was only that, I would perhaps let him off the hook. But as recently as September the 3rd, 2012, Lo came to all of y'all and sent out thousands of these letters, thousands, where he admitted that he had done nothing at all for the last 5 years. Sorry, 4 years and 9 months. I don't want to rob the man because he did some stuff coming out at the end of last year. And he ended with, I want you to know I have not forgotten you and I do regret that I have not been able to assist. Please rest assured I will continue to try my best. I urge you to continue to keep the faith and do not give up, for great things always happen to those who wait. Wait for what, Lo? For 5 more years of the same? For 5 more years of hunger in Christchurch East? For 5 more years of the government raping the pockets of the people? It is not good enough. Lo, if you can hear me, your best has not been good enough. The people in Christchurch East need real representation. They need representation from day one until the last day. They do not need you. It is time for Christchurch East to say no to Lo and say yes to. Listen, I love these people here. I love these people. This week, I experienced my worst day in politics. The worst possible day that I've ever been through. Now, I have taken the personal attacks against me. I have taken the personal scandal because I understand that is part of politics. And I understand that when somebody is jealous and afraid and panicked, they will say anything and go to any measures. This week, there was an unfortunate fire in Fairy Valley where somebody lost everything. A family of 4 lost everything. I was called and I went up. And I spoke to the gentleman and I spoke to his family. And I spoke to some of the residents in the area. And you know what happened that evening? That evening uplifted my heart. Because a fella from the block that we often write off said to me, Mr. Abrams, can we not get a little something going? Can we not put a fundraiser in place? I said, Skipper, I have 10 days to election. It is going to be very difficult for me. He said, Mr. Abrams, you don't have to do it by yourself. If you are willing to help, then we are willing to help you. And in 1 week, we organized a fundraiser, and that fundraiser was today. And we made some money for Ramesh Ramasar in Ferry Valley. And you know, when I went up there this Sunday, I saw Lo surrounded by his people, stand up in a group, not talking to anybody. A man stopped me today, and he showed me a BB broadcast that Lo's personal assistant, Gaylan, sent around to hundreds of people, and she sent it to him. And he said, Abrams, copy it and tell everybody. He said, I voted for Lo last time. I will never vote for him again. While I am in Ferry Valley comforting someone who has just lost everything, Lo and Gaylan are standing up there watching the man's house burn. And she is texting this. Can you believe that after a spot meeting in Ferry Valley by the BLP candidate for Christchurch East, a fire took place, and now a family of 4 is without a home? Shame on the BLP. Red is danger. Can you believe the level of insensitivity and stupidity by the personal assistant of the MP for Christchurch East? On the basis of that alone, both of them need to go. And she went further, and she said, and now the BLP candidate is up here touching up a man in a funny way. That is what she sent out, watching that man's house burn. You want to know who the man was that I was touching? I was touching Ramesh Ramasar and saying, my brother, I will help you. Calm down. I will help you. If instead of going up there watching the flames rip that man's life apart, you or your boss, Gaylan, had even bothered to find out whose house it was that was burning, you would not have made this much of an ass of yourself. The other thing she said in this same broadcast is that at their meeting, Abrams drove through, obviously fishing for ideas. I was trying to get from there to there. I admit, my car passed through. But I didn't realize the meeting was going on because they had that many people. But after she wrote that about me, y'all saw who drove through here? Y'all saw who drove through here tonight? About 4 cars with low stickers. But you know what? Understand, all is not lost. Last year, at a meeting at St. George School, Frondel Stewart said, right now it's not about the economy. It's about voting for men of integrity and character. Well, on the basis of that, Lo should actually just not even bother to run. But if he's going to run, he needs to prepare to lose. The man stood up on this stage and he cried like a child. And he cried. When you were a child, when you cried for nothing what your parents used to tell you, I can give you something to cry for. So Lo, instead of wasting tears on yourself, then cry for Ramesh Ramasar that you did not help. Then cry for the people out here who have nothing to eat. Then cry for Stout over there in Breedy's who you have not helped. Cry for those 2,000 people you wrote that letter to. But understand, Christchurch East, an end is in sight. You need to ask yourself a few simple questions. This election is not about B or D. This is about you. Do you want 5 more years of Dennis Lo in Christchurch East? Do you want 5 more years of Frondel Stewart in Parliament? Do you want 5 more years of Gaylan? Well, understand, on the 21st, you need to go out and do what you have to do. Do you want a better future for your children? Do you want a better future for yourself? Do you want a better tomorrow? Do you want back Owen Arthur and the BLP? Then on the 21st of February, election day, go out in your numbers. Vote for yourself. Vote for your families. Vote for Wilfred Abrams in Christchurch East. Vote for BLP in Christchurch. Vote for Barbados. on election day, go out in your numbers and vote them out. Vote them out. Vote them out. Ladies and gentlemen, good night. God bless you all.
Ladies and gentlemen, the Barbados Labour Party's candidate and the next representative for Christchurch is Wilfred Arthur Abrams. Ladies and gentlemen, those of us who were in Oistins last night will know that we have to have summoned the water truck or the fire engine when the next speaker came on. Ladies and gentlemen, it was